fuck are you?
My name is Mallory.
Grace and Greg Mallory Origins, The Boys. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Terry and this is Marvelous Videos. Amazon Prime's TV series The Boys ended season 3 in the best possible way with a mind-blowing climax. The series really engages its audience, and this happens because of the characters. Some are pure evil like Homelander, while some cause even more significant damage without any superpowers like Stan Edgar. Garth Ennis crafted the characters beautifully, stitching their past and present into a complex masterpiece. In today's video, we'll take a look at Greg or Grace Mallory from the comics and the TV series. Greg Mallory from the comics is an ex-army officer who forms the Boys and carries out his crusade against Vought and their branded superheroes. With a similar story but with a different set of events, Grace Mallory in the TV series is the female adaptation of Greg. Their acts often switch them from being good characters to bad, and it's up to the audience to categorize them. So, without further delay, let's dive into the origins of Grace and Greg Mallory. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Now, let's begin.
I've got the boys back together.
Grace Mallory. I'm the founder of your little club.
Who is Grace or Greg Mallory? The comics. Greg Mallory was born in the 1920s and was a very bright student with an Ivy League graduation. He joined the army, and in December 1944 he was made a captain in his platoon. Greg and a few other gifted soldiers were chosen to battle the Nazi forces near Ardennes on the Western Front. The military also wanted to field test the superheroes presented by Vought American in this battle. These superhuman individuals had no formal military training, and even with their superpowers, the entire procedure became a catastrophe. Thanks to Soldier Boy's stupidity, a Waffen-SS platoon spotted the entire team, which jeopardized the whole operation with only one survivor, Greg Mallory. Greg was honored with medals for his bravery, but he was infuriated with Vought American's audacious act of testing their untrained Supes in a serious war. Seeing how Vought American managed to walk away without being penalized, he allied with his friend Rick Burnham from the army and joined the newborn CIA to make Vought pay for what they had done. Greg was promoted to the post of lieutenant colonel, and he led his crusade against Vought. Upon meeting The Legend, a comic book author whose role was to provide a fake origin story for Vought superheroes to hide the fact that they were just a result of Compound V, he learned about the drug and its creator, Jonah Vogelbaum. Greg organized Vogelbaum's kidnapping and forced him to develop a new kind of Compound V that could be used on him and his Black Ops team that he made to monitor Vought superheroes. He then recruited William Butcher after hearing how his wife was raped and killed indirectly by Homelander, and formed the team known as The Boys. William Butcher recruited Mother's Milk, Frenchman and the Female, and started leading the team. Things didn't turn out the way Greg had wanted, as he'd planned for William to be second in command after him, but William used the team to fulfill his own vengeance. The team managed to assemble enough evidence to bring down the Seven and convince Greg to support them. This, however, backfired, as one evening Lamplighter followed Greg back to his hotel and burned his granddaughters alive. Greg was later made to accept a truce with the Seven in exchange for letting him shoot Lamplighter. After avenging the death of his grandchildren, Greg left the Boys but stayed in contact with Mother's Milk to keep an eye on the team. Although the story implied that Billy Butcher killed him, this wasn't shown as he completely disappeared.
I need your help.
Sorry, I can't. I'm hoping to photograph a snowy owl.
The Boys TV show. Although The Boys TV show is an adaptation of the comics, Greg Mallory was replaced with Grace Mallory. Grace shared a similar story to Greg's, albeit with some changes like her gender. Not much is known about her childhood, but sometime in 1984 she had taken part in a discreet project initiated by President Reagan to aid the Contra rebels in their fight against the Russian-backed Sandinistas in Nicaragua, known as Operation Charlie. Grace supplied weapons to the rebels, bought with the money obtained from exporting and selling cocaine in the US. The drugs were mainly sold to black neighborhoods, keeping them demoralized and away from the white neighborhoods. Operation Charlie also included the superhero team Payback, and it was a test to see if Vought superheroes could be incorporated into the US military. Grace was extremely disappointed and upset with their involvement, as they were reckless and lacked military training.
Is this a joke? Supes aren't soldiers. They're undisciplined dipshits, untrained and untested.
As predicted, their idiocy led to the revelation of their camps to the Russians, and the operation turned into a massacre. Payback's help resulted in too many casualties as they attacked and killed several rebels. Grace lost 116 of her men and strongly disliked Vought and their superheroes. Unknown to her, this was all a setup by Stan Edgar, and their main motive was to take down Soldier Boy. She later informed Billy Butcher that Homelander raped his wife Becca, and Vought had been hiding her location ever since.
One way or another, Mr. Butcher, I believe Homelander was involved.
Grace and Billy recruited Frenchie and Mother's Milk and formed the Boys to keep a check on superheroes and essentially take down Vought. In 2015, they blackmailed Lamplighter with footage of him committing a crime, forcing him to spy on the Seven. This backfired as Lamplighter followed Grace to her hotel and accidentally burned her granddaughters alive instead of her. This drove Grace desperate to seek vengeance against Lamplighter. She later got the opportunity to shoot him, but she didn't, as they still needed Lamplighter's help. After this, she gave up her path of vengeance and decided to live a life in solitude in the woods, just birdwatching or drinking.
You're going to tell us every single thing you see and hear at the tower.
Especially when it comes to Homelander.
The Boys show versus the comics. The Boys TV show made several changes to the plot. These changes added more details and thrills to the comic book adaptation. One notable change out of the many was in the character of Greg Mallory, who was replaced with Grace Mallory. There are similarities between the two, such as how they both despise Vought and their brand of superheroes, but these changes gave the show a completely new direction. They both had a disastrous experience working alongside superheroes, but the battles were different. For Greg in the comics, the battle was against Nazis during World War II, whereas for Grace from the TV show, it was a war between the Contra rebels and the Sandinistas. Greg managed to kidnap Jonah Vogelbaum and make him engineer a version of Compound V for him and his teammates, whereas no such thing happened in the TV show, and the Temp V, or V-24, was supplied to Billy Butcher by Queen Maeve. In the comics, Greg shot Lamplighter in the head and got his revenge for killing his granddaughters, but Grace in the show controlled her rage and didn't shoot Lamplighter. In the TV show, the child of Homelander and Becca survived, but in the comics, Billy killed it the moment it was born. Grace, throughout the years, protected Ryan from Homelander, but in the comics, Greg gained superpowers by injecting himself with a version of Compound V that he made Vogelbaum create. Due to this, he didn't age much, whereas this didn't happen to Grace Mallory. Greg's character disappeared in the comics and is believed to have been killed by Billy Butcher. Grace, on the other hand, stayed alive until her demise in Season 4.
You want to kill yourself? That's your right. I won't stop you, but Billy, not the others.
They're both mentally the same vindictive characters. The best part of the Boys series is that it showcases different traits and complexities within each character. It's open-ended to its audience. Both Greg and Grace Mallory do seem like good characters as they form a team to stop the reckless and corrupt superheroes produced by Vought. Even with the differences between the comics and the TV series, the Mallorys can easily be put on the list of low-key villains. They weren't really fighting to make the world a better place. It was their vendetta against Vought for getting their soldiers into the war. The two wars from the comics and TV series are different, but the outcome was the same, and it was because of the idiocy of Vaught's reckless team of superheroes led by Soldier Boy. The events in the comics during the Second World War were terrible, but what happened to Soldier Boy was horrifying. Soldier Boy was also alive along with Greg after the Nazi attack, but he was in terrible shape, unable to move. He kept calling for help, which Greg noticed. Seeing that there was no one left to witness them, Greg took the opportunity to take his revenge by blasting Soldier Boy and killing him. Grace from the TV series might not seem so ruthless, but she actually is. In the plot as shown in the TV series, Grace was helping the Contra rebels against the Sandinistas. To provide weapons to the rebels, she helped smuggle cocaine into the US, which would then be distributed among black communities to keep them demoralized. That's pretty ruthless too. Both versions formed a team to pursue their vendetta, teams where all of the members were affected in some way or another by the superheroes, followed by the Mallory's thirst for revenge. They both manipulated them into a life-risking and nearly suicidal journey. Conclusion. The reason why The Boys is thrilling and entertaining is because of its characters. No one is clean in Garth's universe, and every character is dark in their own way. There are many twisted minds in this series who end up causing the worst, but in a prolonged process, like Dr. Jonah Vogelbaum. His actions change the world in a terrible way. It's difficult to place these characters in a list of good and bad, and Grace Mallory in today's video is certainly one such individual. Vindictive, selfish, ruthless, ex-army, whose main objective is to take down Vought. In a world where superheroes are taking lives and acting recklessly with their powers, one person stands up to take the initiative and form a team good enough to counter the superhero team The Seven, and that's what's needed. Without the Boys team, Huey would have lived in depression, and Butcher would have made suicidal attempts to bring down Homelander, rushing towards a quick death. Mallory's role is essential, but layered, which leaves it open for the audience to decide about the character. Let us know your thoughts about Greg and Grace Mallory in the comments. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.